There is no red, white, or blue in this country. The only color that matters is green because we live in the United Corporations of America. Welcome, welcome, Jordan Chariton live Status Coup. It is Wednesday, December the 18th, 2024, right here in the United Corporations of America, with a little reversal of my background. We swapped the flag and the Status Coup banner, so let me know what you think. We're going to be doing some tinkering around the edges in the studio here, but we wanted the flag a little bit more prominent. And the Status Coup a little bit more prominent. So let me know what you think. And joining me now, an American patriot, not a Trump patriot, a real patriot, Steve Grumbine of the Real Progressives. Oh, is he in the dark again? Or nope.
I'll see. Yeah, it looks like he froze again.
All right, we lost him. Hopefully, we'll have him back in a few minutes. Smash the like button, share this live stream so we can get it out to more people. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see this very live stream. We are humming along here at Status Coup. We recently passed 300,000 subscribers, so welcome to new subscribers. Of course, love to the original subscribers too. We're actually almost at 303,000. So we have grown 25,000 subscribers in a week. So awesome growth. Thank you to the new subscribers. And hopefully we get some more. Steve's having some tech issues, but we'll have him back. We're trying to get him back. So before I go further, remember, smash that like button, share this live stream, and super chats are very much appreciated. I want to give shout outs before we get to the news, and Steve is working on his connection, so we should have him back in a minute. I want to give shout outs because we've gotten quite a few more members today, new members. So welcome, new Status Coup member, Erica, Sherry, John, Kenra, Jamie, Karina, Teresa, Robin, and Charles. Thank you for signing up as Status Coup members. StatusCoup.com/join. Let me tell you what's going on as far as us being on the ground, because not only are you supporting us as an independent channel, as a member, you're also supporting our on-the-ground reporting. Myself, my cameraman, on the ground, covering what the corporate media covers up. So tomorrow, this is all obviously kind of fluid. We don't know for sure. Tomorrow, Luigi Mangione, the alleged shooter of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, he has hearings in Pennsylvania because obviously he was arrested initially in Altoona, Pennsylvania. So there's conflicting reports, but he might, as soon as tomorrow, be extradited to New York. So if he is moved to New York tomorrow, we are going to try and be live from outside the courthouse in New York City, where I would assume there might be activity, supporters of Mangione, protesters, but we're definitely going to cover that on the ground. So don't know for sure. It really depends what happens in court in Pennsylvania, but the expectation right now is that he will be moved to New York tomorrow. So we might be on the ground tomorrow. We're definitely going to be on the ground this weekend because Amazon workers at the Staten Island warehouse, for you OG Status Coups, remember, we covered their union campaign out in Staten Island, New York for over a year before they won the first unionized Amazon. Well, they are planning on going on strike at that warehouse right before Christmas. That's thousands of workers. That could really, really damage Amazon. There's other Amazon locations, too, that are talking about going on strike. And now there's news that Starbucks workers might be going on strike as well. So we will be on the ground this weekend from the warehouse, from the strike, the Amazon workers strike in Staten Island. So we're getting on the ground. So please, if you're new to Status Coup, Consider supporting us for as low as $5 a month. StatusCoup.com/join. That's 16 cents a day. You could support actual living, breathing, independent on the ground reporting. We don't have money from UnitedHealthcare, Aetna, Cigna, Goldman Sachs, Pfizer, Big Tech, Facebook, Elon, none of them. Our funding comes from you, the people, and then we go out and cover what the corporate media covers up. So please, and I will be happy to shout out new members as you sign up. As far as I know, we're the only independent outlet that's actually on the ground consistently across the country. All right. Hopefully Steve makes it back soon. He's working on his router. Before we get to the latest with Luigi Mangione, I want to talk about a just stunningly tone deaf display of the very problem, why America hates the for-profit healthcare industry, but also politicians. If you haven't noticed, the federal minimum wage has not been raised for 15 years. The federal minimum wage is still $7.25. However, Congress, the Senate and the House, they, as a priority, decided to raise their wage, give themselves a raise by 40%. That's right. In the new spending bill, which we'll get into it later, that Elon Musk, our vice president, basically Vice President Musk, or is it President Musk? I don't know. He has been working all day today to kill this spending bill. But as part of this new spending bill, Congress is giving itself a raise of 40%. Here is Dick Durbin, a longtime Democratic senator. I think he's number 2 or number 3 Democrats in the Senate. Happens to be worth $2 million. Here is him asked by CNN, do you think you guys should be giving yourselves a raise, particularly with inflation and everything else? Let's take a look.
Raise? Do you guys deserve a pay raise?
Well, that's news to me. It's good news. You know, what has it been, 10 years or 14 years and no COLA, no change at all? I think it's about time something's done.
You support giving yourselves a pay raise?
How would I not know about a pay raise?
But I mean, people look at the performance of Congress and say, why should we give them more money?
What about the media? Think about that for a second.
We're not paid by public money.
I know you're not, but I mean, half of your listeners are not there anymore. You're still getting the same paycheck? What's going on?
Well, I mean, you're taxpayer money. I mean, you guys deserve a raise. And Durbin essentially said that, yes, they should give themselves a raise. And what also is noticeable, though, to Jim, he wasn't aware that this was in the provision. Yeah. And he's the number 2 Senate Democrat. It just shows you how this was negotiated among a handful of members, and they're going to have to vote on this. And members really won't have time to read it either, Jim.
Unreal. But Manu, I have to say, you are worth every penny. Manu Raju up on Capitol Hill for us. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Says Jim Acosta, the anchor with a $700,000 salary and a net worth of $4 million over at CNN. Now, this seems to me to be connected to the very sentiment going around in support of Luigi Mangione. Not that everyone supports what he did, but there's a lot of people who do. Because Congress, the politicians, the lobbyists, it's all the same thing, really. The for-profit health industry, it's all one big dark cabal, really. And as George Carlin once said, it's a big club and you ain't in it, folks. How in the world? And let me just give you the details. Steve, I just played the clip of Dickie Durbin. By the way, Steve Grumbine of the Real Progressives. You got to subscribe to Real Progressives on YouTube, Real Progress in Action on YouTube. The links are in the description. We'll give promos later. But Steve, I just played the clip of Dickie Durbin being asked about that Congress, that would be the Senate and Congress, in this spending bill, they're getting a 40% raise. He cried crocodile tears, 40%, because they haven't had a cost of living adjustment since 2009, talking like they're like the UAW workers, who haven't gotten the cost of living adjustment. Let me give you the statistics. First off, like I said, Dick Durbin is worth $2 million. That's his net worth. So cry me some tears. But let me just give you some details on the wealth of Congress here. Historical trends of wealth accumulation in a comprehensive study for the from the 115th Congress, the combined wealth of all members at that time amounted to at least $2.43 billion, marking a 20% increase compared to the preceding Congress. The growth occurred during a period when both the Dow Jones Industrial Average and Standard & Poor's 500 Index experienced gains of slightly under 10%. Furthermore, the medium minimum net worth, meaning the poorest net worth of today's senators and House members, stood at $511,000 at the beginning of this Congress, reflecting a 16% of rise. So the poorest members, Steve, are worth $500,000, and they need a raise, as they haven't given us an increase in the federal minimum wage in 15 years. Inflation is still very high at the grocery store, electric bills, housing, you name it, and they're getting a raise. Yet they don't understand why people are celebrating Luigi Mangione. They don't understand why people are hoodwinked enough to vote for Donald Trump, because they are fed up with neoliberal elites who have a different set of rules and standards for themselves versus everyone else. How tone deaf can you be to give yourselves not a 5% raise, which I think that would be controversial, but a 40% raise? So just so you know, the current salary is $174,000 for most Congress people. If you're in leadership, it's higher. But the current salary for most Congress people is $174,000. If this bill passes, it goes up to $243,000. $243,000. Now, if the minimum wage rose, adjusted for inflation, productivity, and the increased living costs, the minimum wage would be $27 an hour today. Instead, it is $7.25. Anybody ever hear of a tale of two cities? How about a wanted for corruption? Let me put that up. How about wanted for corruption posters, campaigns nationwide? Listen, to be clear, I am not telling you to go get your guns and shoot down anybody. I don't think vigilante justice is the answer. As I have said, if we start gunning down CEOs, if we start gunning down politicians, it will come back on us 10 times worse. With that said, don't you think that this might escalate the hate? Don't you think that this might set more people off to want to take actions into their own hands? Colin, while we wait for Steve, when's the last time you got a 40% raise? I mean, technically, I'm your boss, Colin, so I'd love to give you a 40% raise, but money don't grow on trees. I have been nice and given you bonuses, I do believe. However, am I in the twilight zone?
I mean, I've worked at a restaurant, retail, and school, government, whatever, and I think the biggest I've gotten was 5%. There might have been a year where I maybe got 6% that I'm forgetting. 5% is the biggest I've ever gotten, and that's regardless of any performance or anything like that. Well, I didn't know it was 40%. I just knew about the raise when you sent me the thing, and then I heard the 40%.
I'm not good at math, but if you're at 174,000 now and it's going up at 243,000, I put it in the percent change calculator and it gave me 40%. So tell me if I'm wrong. If you're a mathematician out there, I do believe that's a 40% increase, 174,000 to 243,000. Now,
an increase that, by the way, just that increase is more than most people make in a year of just what they're getting in that increase of, what is that, 55, 60,000 or whatever.
It's insane. By the way, Steve's internet's crapping out, so we're trying to get him back, but it keeps going out on him. So hopefully we get him back. Smash that like button, by the way. Share this live stream. We got 700 people watching. 700 people watching. So we need as many people as possible to press that like button. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see this live stream. Again, 700 people watching, but right now, unfortunately, we only have 320 have pressed the like button. So we need about 400 more people to press that like button. I think this is absolutely outrageous, and it kind of goes hand in hand with, right now, the growing hatred towards elites. I mean, Lice, if polled, is probably more popular than Congress. Lice, if polled, is probably more popular than the media. And I keep saying it, but as JFK said, when peaceful resistance gets you nowhere or fails, violent revolution is inevitable. And when you are thumbing your nose, when you are thumbing your finger in front of us, when you are saying, violence is not the answer. By the way, let me give myself a 40% pay increase as we deprive the American people of health care, education, ability to buy groceries, ability to buy a home. At a certain point, people have had enough. At a certain point, people will have had enough. And I believe that's where we are right now. I don't even know if this is going to go through because President Elon Musk has been working all day to kill this bill, not because of the congressional raises, for other reasons, which we'll get to later. But even them attempting to do this, the fact that he's sitting there and saying, well, Congress hasn't had a cost of living adjustment for 15 years. What do you need a cost of living adjustment? The lowest salary, the lowest net worth in Congress is $500,000, and you need a cost of living adjustment? Frankly, they shouldn't even get the gold-plated healthcare plans that they get until they provide the same healthcare plans for all of us. This is the classic tale of two cities, or crumbs for thee, cake for me. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. We'll stay on it, but I believe you're going to see protests, a lot of protests when Trump comes back into office. But I also believe you might see more aggressive behavior than just protest. That's not that I'm calling for violence, but at a certain point, I've been saying for a while, if you've been watching Status Coup, the neoliberal bubble is popping. The 40, 50-year-old neoliberal bubble that has been growing and growing with that grand bank robbery. Colin, if you have the chart, if you can find it, the grand bank robbery in this country where our money has been going over and growing and growing and growing towards the top 1%, towards the top 0.1%. Okay? That's why Donald Trump won. Not that he wants to do anything about it, but because people are fed up. They're fed up with a Democratic Party that claims to be the party of the working class, that then, once in power, gives them every goddamn excuse in the world for why we can't give you health care, why we can't give you education, why we can't cancel your student loan debts, why we could only give you privatized health care during a once-in-a-century pandemic. People have had enough. So they gravitate towards the phony populist, which, sorry, MAGA, if you're watching, Trump most certainly is a phony populist. He ain't going to do a goddamn thing for working class people. Not a thing. Oh, I didn't even mention, as they are giving themselves a 40% increase in pay, do you notice that Congress is still trading stocks with information that you and I don't have access to? Remember when Nancy Pelosi, gingerly said, yeah, I'm kind of for banning congressional stock trading. Oh, hold on. I have a phone call. Yeah. Buy more NVIDIA, buy more Apple, buy more Google. Yes, I'm for banning congressional stock trading as she makes more and more money. Not just her. Republicans are doing legal insider trading. Democrats are doing legal insider trading. They are enriching themselves off of being in Congress, which is corrupt. It's literally legalized insider trading. At the same time, we have legal bribes. Elon Musk, why the hell do you think he's basically bumped J.D. Vance out of the way and is serving as the unofficial vice president to Trump? Hell, he might even be serving as the shadow president because he's literally purchased Trump. Why do you think that Biden kept on sending unlimited weapons to Israel, even though he knew it was probably going to sink him in the election, because his biggest donors were super duper pro-Israel and he didn't want to get cut off. That's why the flag is behind me. We live in the United Corporations of America. Let's do some transparency now. How much do you make per year, Jordan? Well, if you want transparency, I'm happy to tell you this year, I believe, hold on, did I put the wrong thing up? Last year, I think I made, I might be wrong. I think I took in $45,000. I think I'd have to check. This year I might be a little bit better, but last year I believe I made $45,000. And this year I might be on target for closer to 50, 55, maybe a little more because I wrote a book this year, separate from Status Coup. So I'll get what they call royalties from the book. You know, every book that's sold, I get a certain percentage. But just so you know, since you were, apparently looking to get me in a gotcha there, I have taken less for most of Status Coup than everyone else, so that Status Coup could exist. In the beginning, I actually paid for a lot of costs out of my own limited savings. So there's some transparency for you. That's what I made last year. $45,000 a week? No, I made $45,000 last year. Now, and you know what? If anybody deserves a raise, it's Colin, myself, John Ferreira, not Dick Durbin, not Nancy Pelosi, not Mitch McConnell and his turkey neck. No way. Okay, so moving on from Congress enriching themselves at the expense of all of us. Obviously, we've been covering extensively developments in the Luigi Mangione case. He has a court hearing tomorrow in Pennsylvania. As I said at the beginning of the show, it's possible that he's going to be extradited tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow, to New York. So we will be on that. If he gets extradited to New York as early as tomorrow, we're going to try and be on the ground covering the activity outside the courthouse, which very likely will include, folks out there supporting him, as well as people who probably are against him. But we want to speak with people from both sides and show you this is not just about Luigi Mangione. He has unleashed the hatred and frustration, deep frustration of the American people against the for-profit, predatory, not just healthcare system, capitalist system. But I wanted to read you this because I think that we're starting to see more of the, corporate meltdown and the corporate media basically, crying crocodile tears for, who they deem to be the victims, which are the corporations, cops, and the courts. Headline: UnitedHealthcare CEO shooting supporters may target police and courts, analysts say. Less than 2 weeks after UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson was gunned down on the streets of Midtown Manhattan, his alleged assassin Luigi Mangione has been greeted not by universal condemnation for the brazen violence, but rather a surge of enthusiastic support online for his so-called vigilante justice. The Center for Internet Security, a nonprofit focused on cybersecurity that partners with government and law enforcement, released a new threat assessment bulletin warning that online support for the alleged shooter risks encouraging copycat attacks. Overwhelming bipartisan support for the attack across social media, quote, has resulted in several narratives encouraging similar violent activities directed at other healthcare executive teams, CIS analysts said. Quote, the narratives supporting Mangione's targeted attack likely serve to encourage like-minded individuals, particularly as Mangione continues to be viewed by the public as an American hero and sympathetic figure, the analysts said. Threats, it added, are, quote, likely to emanate from individuals motivated by personal grievances, socio-political or ideological views, or in response to contentious high-profile cases such as the recent death of Thompson. Threats have proliferated online, and multiple, quote, wanted signs have appeared in New York City depicting healthcare executives. Such, quote, implicit and explicit hit lists exacerbate current risks. Luigi Mangione might have triggered the pot to boil over. again, I have to keep saying this, not just because I want to make clear this is what I believe, but also we are on YouTube and, got to safeguard against them getting the wrong idea and kicking us off. I am not condoning or calling for copycat violence. I don't believe vigilante justice is the answer. Even if you could understand Mangione's the reason for what he did, and we don't fully know everything that happened with him. I'm sure we will find out more as the case develops. I believe if we all started gunning down CEOs, cops, bankers, etc., oh my God, the streets would be littered with the military. You would be charged as a domestic terrorist if you even sneezed near a CEO. So it can come back on you 100 times worse. With that said, I also think, remember after 9/11, the Patriot Act, the civil liberties that were taken away. You still, what is it, 25 years later? I mean, I travel for Status Coup. They throw out my toothpaste if it's too big, or my cream if it's too big, yada, yada, yada. We are now entering, I believe, a period where they are going to use this killing of the UnitedHealthcare CEO, which District Attorney Alvin Bragg just yesterday basically said they are treating the killing of this CEO on par with the killing of a cop, which is usually first-degree murder, or a serial killer, which is absolutely insane. It is absolutely insane that that's what they're equating it to. And I want to show you a few clips from the press conference yesterday. Some of you might have seen these already, but I think it's important to show anyway. Colin, the first clip from Alvin Bragg's press conference, where one of the staffers was talking about increased concern for corporate safety.
And we've seen a real sustained increase since December 4th in concern, not just from CEOs, but from corporations broadly. And so going back to the DA's point, the intent to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, which is, of course, at the root of our state terrorism statute, is very much borne out in this reaction. And for good reason. We've had a torrent of online threats. We've had real-world activity that the police commissioner flagged, which is abhorrent, and it causes concern. So we have done a lot to work with corporate security partners with whom we partner on a daily basis in this city, at the city level, at the state level, trying to make sure that everybody has the best practices that they need, that they know where to flag not just general ambient concerns, but specific threats that they might be receiving that a few weeks ago they might have written off as just noise in the online environment, that they now take seriously. So these are ongoing conversations that we have.
You know what strikes me, and I'm not going to lie and say this was my original thought. I saw it, somebody post it today. When Dylan Roof, a 17-year-old white kid, went into that church in South Carolina, in Charleston, shot and killed, I believe it was 9. It was a black church, African-American church. Shot and killed 9, was it? African-American churchgoers. He wasn't charged with terrorism. Yet Luigi Mangione allegedly shot and killed. Allegedly, there you go. Why wasn't Dylan Roof charged with terrorism? This is from The Intercept. I'll read you a little bit about this. Some media outlets, lawyers, public figures, and activists have called for Roof to be charged not just with a hate crime, an illegal act motivated in whole or in part by an offender's bias, but with the separate label of domestic terrorism. Critics contend that the label of terrorism is too often only applied to Islamic extremists and not white supremacists or anti-government anarchists. Many were outraged after FBI Director James Comey balked at the term during a June 20th press conference, telling reporters he didn't see the murder as a political act, a requirement he designated as necessary for terrorism. So if the definition of terrorism, which we heard from Alvin Bragg, the district attorney yesterday, was to try and instill terror for political, for religious reasons, wouldn't the murder targeting of black churchgoers to terrorize the black community, presumably for bigoted reasons, wouldn't that at a church? Remember, political, religious reasons. Wouldn't that be textbook terrorism? No. But the 9 black people, and correct me if I'm wrong, Colin, I think it was 9 black churchgoers that lost their lives. But they are not in the same class, according to our federal and state government, as the CEO of UnitedHealthcare. So it can't be treated as terrorism. Isn't there something sick about that? It's just grotesque. Absolutely grotesque. This world is absurd, Liz wrote. Capitalism is a religion. Kipu wrote. I want to play another part of the press conference, and apologies if you're seeing this twice. Some of you who watched this yesterday, I might have shown you, but I think it's important to show again. Here is the part where Alvin Bragg, the district attorney, talks about why first-degree murder for Luigi Mangione.
The first-degree murder statute has a number of subsections. They're sort of clearly delineated, and they are reserved for, the most abhorrent conduct: killing a police officer, serial killing, and the terrorism is one subsection of that. And so, I would say, fortunately, that's not happening a lot. Taking a step back, I can't think of another office that is more equipped to handle a terrorism charge. We have a great terrorism unit. We were at the forefront of getting the statute passed. Within the last 2 years, we've tried 2 very significant terrorism cases, one involving an English-speaking operative based in Jamaica, and another involving someone who was here and funding overseas terrorism by cryptocurrency. So we have the expertise, and as I mentioned, the expertise on this team, and so we're prepared to go forward.
So let me get this straight. And to be clear, Dylan Roof killed 9, as I said, churchgoers, black churchgoers in South Carolina. He was a neo-Nazi, to be clear, white supremacist. He was not deemed a terrorist. But Luigi Mangione, who in his own manifesto, he didn't state that he was trying to instill fear in people. He also, in the notebook that was found, said, I chose a targeted shooting so that no innocents would die. Now, some might argue, well, Brian Thompson was innocent. Even if you hate the healthcare industry, he's still innocent. You could argue that. But the point is, Luigi Mangione made clear he didn't want to kill anyone else other than this one person. So it sure seems that our lawmakers have a much, much different pedestal, I guess you could say, if you are a for-profit predatory CEO than just your average churchgoer. Also, we are already seeing the weaponization of terrorism. Look at the woman in Florida that was arrested and is being charged with terrorism for just saying on the phone, delay, deny, and you're next, to whatever healthcare representative she was talking to. Now, you might not agree with her saying that, but that's terrorism? Some of you might say worse before lunch to a customer service representative. She's being charged as a terrorist? We have reached really scary 1984 Orwellian times, and I believe what you are starting to see what you are starting to see, like the analysis I read to you, the study claiming that there's analysts and security experts are worried, stating there's a heightened threat of supporters of Luigi Mangione going after police, going after courts. I believe they are putting these things out there to justify the weaponization of the law against working class proletariat people. Same thing as the Patriot Act, same thing as the abandonment of civil liberties after 9/11. Similar to, Obama suspending habeas corpus. This is a dangerous thing. Two things can be true at the same time. Luigi Mangione, alleged at this point, may very well have killed Brian Thompson. By doing that, he assumed the risk of going to prison for the rest of his life. But that doesn't mean that the United States government, in deference to their bosses, when I say the United States government, I mean the politicians, in deference to the bankers, who they let off scot-free after those bankers tanked the global economy and crushed a lot of people, including many in our audience, doesn't mean that Alvin Bragg and the DOJ, whatever, can just make up the law as they go along because they consider the bankers and the healthcare CEOs and the Elon Musk and the Mark Zuckerbergs and the head of Pfizer and the, officials at the defense contractors a higher class of citizen. Everyone should be outraged about that because it is dangerous. And we can't have, limousine liberals ranting about the rule of law because Trump has abused it, but then being silent when it's abused on the behalf of corporate CEOs. Look no further. Remember, Colin, if you have the headline I put in there, New York Governor Kathy Hochul is literally considering a special CEO hotline, a special hotline for CEOs to call in, worried CEOs. I don't think it gets more ridiculous than that. If you missed this, I hope you're not on an empty stomach. Governor Hochul to consider CEO hotline amid safety concerns. She's reportedly considering a special hotline for CEOs to report safety threats. This comes after the recent murder of UnitedHealthcare Divisional CEO Brian Thompson in Manhattan, which sparked widespread concern among corporate leaders. Hey, Colin, do you remember after mass shootings at concerts, mass shootings at grocery stores, mass shootings at the mall, mass shootings at the church in Charleston? Did the governors of those states create special hotlines for worried citizens?
No, and that's something I like. Even something as simple as my first reaction to it was I told my wife, I was like, there's literally like highways that are known for like common occurrences of people going missing. If that specialized hotline for that would actually save so many lives. But one CEO and suddenly all these billionaires who literally have the money to protect themselves and do anything they want, our money and taxpayer money to go to a special hotline. Very interesting.
It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And by the way, I want to show you, I think, a positive development. A new poll by The Economist. Healthcare just became the second biggest issue after inflation, overtaking immigration. So that's a new poll by The Economist. I just wonder, did the Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris, I'm trying to think of, what was her health care plan? I know. Her defenders, Jordan, she only had 3 months. She didn't have a health care plan. She didn't even talk about it. Well, maybe, just maybe, if you ran against the for-profit predatory healthcare system, maybe you would have beat Donald Trump. Maybe, just maybe, if you would have ran on Medicare for all. Remember in 2020, when she ran for the first time, she said she was for Medicare for all. Then I think it was like 24 or 48 hours after she launched her campaign, after the donors revolted, she walked it back. But clearly the American people don't want the current predatory healthcare Hunger Games system we have. And it's not just people on the left. We're seeing in the audience, it's people on the left outraged at this predatory evil system. It's people on the right outraged against this predatory system. I have people emailing me horror stories about what happened to them. This is a winning, not only a morally righteous issue, it is a winning issue. But the Democrats are too corrupt, as are the Republicans, are too corrupt because they don't want to bite the hand that feeds them, which is Wall Street. It's not just directly the healthcare companies buying off Harris and Trump and McConnell and Mike Johnson, the speaker. Wall Street is the biggest investor in United Health Group, Pfizer, Eli Lilly, all the rest of them. So these politicians who just literally are giving themselves or trying to give themselves a 40% raise, they're not going to do anything to upset Wall Street because they still think like dinosaurs. We need the money. We need that corporate cash. Well, how'd that work out for Hillary Clinton? She made all the money in the world. She outraised and outspent Donald Trump 2-1. She lost. Harris, I think Harris raised, I believe, $1.3 billion in 3 months. Lost. Trump didn't even have a ground game. He had Elon Musk sending volunteers around literally in the back of a U-Haul. Before we get to the next topic, smash that like button, share this live stream. We have 1,300 people watching live. Now, if 1,300 people are watching live, I don't know, I'm not good at math. If 15% of those 1,300 people signed up as paying Status Coup members, we would be able to afford a lot more on-the-ground reporting. And if there was a God, I could hire another reporter, so it's not just me. So please consider signing up. If you're new here, we don't just sit and bloviate in a studio. We get out there on the ground. As I told you, if Luigi Mangione is extradited to New York tomorrow, which he might be, we're going to be on the ground covering the action outside the courthouse, which was very likely will include people supporting him and people probably against him. But we want to talk to all those folks and cover developments on the ground outside the courthouse. And we're going to be live this weekend from Staten Island covering the Amazon workers on strike. Another sickness in this country. They say we have a democracy, but it sure seems to be, let's just say, optional for corporations. Amazon workers organized and won a union almost 3 years ago. Amazon workers in Staten Island at a huge warehouse with 1,500 workers organized. They voted, and they voted for a union. Amazon has not agreed to even negotiate. They won't even come to the table to bargain. Our Congress that just gave themselves a 40% raise allows it. So because Amazon won't follow the law and agree to a contract with the union in Staten Island, which would then produce a domino effect for other Amazon workers to unionize around the country, these workers have said, fuck it, we're going to hit them where it hurts. Right before Christmas, we're going on strike. So we will be on the ground to cover that. Now, before we move on, I want to play just one more part of that Alvin Bragg press conference, because this part, some of you might have seen it, but for those that didn't, I think was the most egregious. Here is the New York City police chief scolding you for expressing glee at Luigi Mangione allegedly killing Brian Thompson.
As DA Bragg said, Luigi Mangione is now formally charged and indicted for murder. And let me be perfectly clear. In the nearly 2 weeks since Mr. Thompson's killing, we have seen a shocking and appalling celebration of cold-blooded murder. Social media has erupted with praise for this cowardly attack. People ghoulishly plastered posters threatening the other CEOs with an X over Mr. Thompson's picture, as though he was some sort of a sick trophy. And yesterday, the New York Post reported that some extreme activists were circulating a deck of cards with other most wanted CEOs to be targeted for assassination. These are the threats of a lawless, violent mob who would trade in their own vigilantism for the rule of law that protects us all. Let me say this plainly. There is no heroism in what Mangione did. This was a senseless act of violence. It was a cold and calculated crime that stole a life and put New Yorkers at risk. We don't celebrate murders, and we don't lionize the killing of anyone. And any attempt to rationalize this is vile, reckless, and offensive to our deeply held principles of justice.
Boy, was that a talking to. That is the New York City Police Commissioner, Jessica Tisch, the daughter of oligarch and huge donor, I believe, to the Republican Party, Jonathan Tisch. Jonathan Tisch is the head of Lowe's Hotels, among other things. I believe his net worth, let me get it, Jonathan Tisch, net worth, just a cool 2.1 billion. So that's his daughter. I wonder how she became the New York City Police Chief. Oh, wait, before she was the New York City Police Chief, she was the head of New York City Sanitation Department. No offense to sanitation workers. What kind of qualification is that to become the New York City Police Chief if you were the head of the sanitation department? I digress. Anyway, you're sitting here scolding the masses, calling this cold-blooded murder? Okay. Like I said, I'm not telling anyone to go get their guns and shoot down CEOs. Vigilante justice, in my view, is going to be turned around and backfire on the proletariat. But if it's cold-blooded murder, what Luigi Mangione allegedly did, then what is it what the healthcare companies do? I asked the police, is that cool-blooded murder? Is that medium temperature murder? Is that, is that low on the stove temperature murder? When they deny care, delay care? I was just talking to my mother earlier. I didn't know about this. In my family, my grandmother, so my mother's mother had breast cancer. She had to get a double mastectomy to remove her breast. My mother, because of the risk, has had to get mammograms every year. And she told me that she had her mammogram. Even with the family history, she had her mammogram denied multiple times by her insurance company. Well, what if that denial led to them missing cancer and my mother, knock on wood, God forbid, died? Is that not cold-blooded? Or would that, to the police commissioner, be cool-blooded? Or, as they're putting in the chat, tepid murder? And I want to show these two tweets. For those of you who saw it over the weekend, I interviewed a former worker at UnitedHealthcare. I don't know if you have that clip, Colin. If you do, let me know. But I interviewed a former employee at UnitedHealthcare. Her name's Jenny. She told me the mainstream media has not reached out to her because she did a video that blew up on YouTube. I think it got like 300,000 views, where she told me, she revealed that they had a quota system for denying care. Let's play that clip.
I would hear people, on break time or whatever, when we would all kind of come together in this kitchen clutch, and people would be talking about what they were told to do their job. It wasn't my job, so I can't say 100%. Yes, we have to deny so many claims per month to meet our shareholders' expectations, but I do know that people were complaining because, they had to meet a certain amount of claim denials. So
people were telling you that there was a quota for how many denials?
Yep.
Which is kind of like less deadly, but cops towards the end of the month, you have a quota how many tickets you have to give out.
Right.
So definitely check out that full interview. It was about a little over a half hour, I believe. She gave other horror stories of them denying. Is that cold-blooded murder? Is that terrorism? Apparently not, because the victims of that weren't making $10 million a year, which is what Brian Thompson's salary was. Apparently, that's not cold-blooded murder because the victims aren't connected to Wall Street. And just that interview, I'm starting to see responses to it of other workers saying, yeah, we had a quota too for denying care. Is that not murder when you knowingly, wrongfully deny claims that should be approved, and those denied claims lead to deadly delays in treatment, missed cancer, cancer identified too late. Colin, let's show those two reactions to my interview. One person, Paula, holy shit, now this, I retweeted her this morning, not to take credit, but now she has almost 1,000 retweets on her tweet. She said in response to my interview about the quota system, my mom used to work for a different insurance company, and I remember her coming home crying because she got in trouble for not denying enough claims. She got fired for not, quote, meeting quota after a couple months. That's not murder. That's not cold-blooded murder. Knowingly denying claims that should be approved because you have a quota system. Why aren't the executives that put in the quota system to deprive people of life-saving care, why aren't they being charged with murder? Why aren't they being charged with terrorism? Or am I being too dramatic? Because that is a direct cause and effect. If you delay approvals or you deny care that the doctors have said is needed to save lives, not only kill people, but shorten people's lives. This is the equivalent of the fire department showing up, a full-blown house fire, and them just saying, I have a cold. I don't feel like going in there and, saving the family. That's what the healthcare executives and companies are doing by denying these claims that they know should be approved. You're deciding, I'm not going to put out the fire, even though I have the hose. But that's not considered murder. Here's another one in response. A sister-in-law who worked at Aetna said they told her to deny claims for frivolous reasons. She would grind her teeth at night. She eventually quit, couldn't take it anymore. By the way, I reached out to both of those people on Twitter asking them, I'd love to interview you. And to you, the audience, if you were in the audience, if you used to work in healthcare, if you currently work in healthcare, I want to talk to you. The media wants to move on from this story. I am not going to move on from this story because this is not just about healthcare. This is about we live in a fucking cesspool of a country. We live in the United Corporations of America. It ain't a representative democracy, folks. It is a multi-trillion-dollar corporate conglomerate masquerading as a representative government. They're not representing you. They're representing the shareholders of United Health Group. They're representing the shareholders of Pfizer. They're representing the shareholders of Wall Street banks, private equity firms, and all the rest. That's why Elon Musk, which we're going to get to in a few minutes, is basically calling the shots of the incoming Trump administration. Trump, who's supposed to be a friend of the working man and woman. It's fucking vile. But again, the definition, according to the police, according to the media, according to the politicians, of murder, it seems that they have a very different standard of murder depending on the class of the victim. America is a corporate pedophile. I like that. I might steal that. And keep sending in those super chats and keep signing up as members. Thank you. Thank you. We got new Status Coup member Robert and almost new member Gwen. You still have to finish payment, but you started the sign up process. All right. I want to move on. This is actually, all these stories are kind of linked. Donald Trump, and I don't really cover Donald Trump that much, but I think Donald Trump might be the most skilled con man, possibly in world history, not just American history. I think, and I don't think I've seen it because I covered the 2016 campaign, I covered the 2020 campaign, and I covered the 2024 campaign. At this point, I probably covered about 70 or so Trump rallies and events. I don't think people who voted for Donald Trump are bad people. I don't think all of them are stupid or anything like that. But a lot of them, because of everything we're talking about now, this 40-year neoliberal bubble, this bank robbery of our money going to the top 1%, the rise of neoliberalism and elites, they just said, well, I'll try anything new. And he sounds new, and he sounds refreshing. Unfortunately, he's been conning you the whole time. Unfortunately, he's not draining the swamp. He's flooding. He's widening the swamp. And apparently Elon Musk is, it seems, running the government behind closed doors or not behind closed doors, totally out in front. Elon Musk threatens Republicans who vote for Speaker Johnson's insane crime of a bill in a raging tweet storm. Elon Musk, the billionaire ally of President-elect Donald Trump, who will help helm the Department of Government Efficiency. You got to love Elon Musk wants to sit here and run the Department of Government Efficiency when he has gotten hundreds of millions of dollars. Let me repeat, hundreds of millions of dollars from the government. Hypocrisy is not even the word for Elon Musk. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson has proposed a stopgap spending bill that has encountered significant pushback from some of his Republican colleagues in both the House and Senate. But it might be Musk's attacks that carry the most weight. At 4:15 a.m., Vice President Musk, that's me adding that, tweeted, "This bill should not pass," and he's got noticeably more strident as the day has gone on. In a raging tweet storm over the last hour or so, Musk has called the bill a scam, a criminal bill, an insane crime against the American people, an outrage, terrible, and madness. The more I learn, the more obvious it becomes that this spending bill is a crime. It even includes funding for the worst illegal censorship operation in the entire government. Then he tweeted, "We're funding bioweapon labs in this bill." Bioweapon labs? He went on to say, "Stop the steal of your tax dollars. Only I, Elon Musk, get to steal your tax dollars." That's me adding that. "Call your elected representatives now. They are trying to railroad this thing through today." This is insane. This is not democracy. No, it's democracy when the wealthiest person on earth gets to dictate policy. That's democracy, according to Elon Musk. How can your elected representatives be asked to pass a spending bill where they had no input and not even enough time to read it? Another one. What a scam. They want to spend your tax dollars on censoring you. Absolutely, this bill should not pass. A new bill that isn't an insane crime against the American people should be done in 33 days. And then he threatens any member of the House or Senate who votes for this outrageous spending bill deserves to be voted out in 2 years. Let me translate that for you folks. Elon Musk is saying any Republican that votes for this bill, I'm going to put money behind a primary challenger to you. Now, some of you watching, some of you are MAGA who watch, you might just love it because it sounds like, oh, he's taking it to the establishment. But that's the problem. It's not taking it to the establishment when it's the establishment calling the shots. Sorry, folks. Elon Musk is the establishment. Donald Trump is the establishment. J.D. Vance, the fake hillbilly, is the establishment. So is Kamala Harris. So is Joe Biden. So is, name your corporate neoliberal Democrat. We have Congress talking about giving themselves a 40% raise when they haven't given us a raise in the federal minimum wage for 15 years. We have Congress giving themselves a 40% raise when you can't get out of the grocery store for under $150 to $200 if you have kids. Fuck it. Good luck buying a house. Anyone. MAGA? Good if MAGA's watching. I want you to hear this because we call it like it is. I'm not blue or red. They're both fucking corrupt. The only real color in this country that matters is green. They're all screwing you, including Trump. You just got hoodwinked into believing Trump. But let me remind you, folks, Mr. Drain the Swamp, one of his first acts in 2016 was to name the CEO of ExxonMobil as his Secretary of State. No, Jordan doesn't want them getting the raise. He named the CEO of ExxonMobil. as the Secretary of State. He named Steve Mnuchin, a criminal private equity vulture who illegally foreclosed on Americans during the 2008-2009 financial crash, named him Secretary of Treasury. Now, because Elon Musk gave him enough money, speaking of Trump, he's allowing Elon Musk to basically call the shots of bills that pass. And I'm not even talking about whether this bill is worthy of being passed or not. It probably isn't. Most of the bills in Congress, they don't read. Most of the bills are shit sandwiches. But that's a separate issue then. We have a real problem if the wealthiest person on earth, he's already bought one of, if not the largest communication platforms in the world, Twitter, and stupidly renamed it X. He's already bought that, and if you've noticed, X has become a right-wing cesspool of a platform. But now, the wealthiest person on earth, you call that draining the swamp, MAGA? He's getting to call the shots? Give me a break. And that's the problem. That's the problem with our media today. You're not really allowed to not pick a hat. If you don't pick a blue hat, if you don't pick a red hat, you're basically reprimanded in the media. If you don't exclusively shit on the Republicans or exclusively shit on the Democrats, you're kind of homeless. I think I've told you the story, but I met with an executive at the Sirius XM radio channel a couple months ago. If you don't know, Sirius has a progressive channel. It's called Progress. It has a conservative channel. It's called Patriot. And I met with this executive, and I said, respectfully, your Progress channel, which is supposedly the progressive channel, I said it's basically MSNBC light. It sucks. It's not progressive. It's just like kind of the Democratic Party club. I said, I said, try me out a weekly show. I will have a bigger audience than any of your progressive hosts. He told me, yeah, on radio, that's not going to work. You got to be Democrat or Republican. You got to be pro-Dem or pro-Republican. I said, that's why you're failing, pal. I said it more respectfully than that. But I said, that's why your audience is shrinking, and that's why the audience on TV is shrinking. Because people are smartening. People are wising up. They realize that they have been sold they have been sold a bill of fake goods. Team blue, team red. They're both fucking you. They're both taking the same legal bribes. From Wall Street, the fossil fuckers, big pharma, big real estate, Silicon Valley, the military industrial complex. Trump's taking them too. Folks, before his first election, Trump took $30 million from Sheldon Adelson, who was a Las Vegas casino magnate, one of the wealthiest Republicans in the country. He's died since then. And for that, he was a crazy, crazy pro-Israel Zionist. And for that $30 million, Trump moved the embassy, United States Embassy, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, explicitly because that's what Sheldon Adelson wanted. Now, Trump has taken $100 million from Sheldon Adelson's wife. You call that draining the swamp? And for that $100 million, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to let Israel take more land from the Palestinians. He's going to let Israel take more land from Syria. This is not draining the swamp. This is building a larger swamp with more alligators in it. Sorry, MAGA. Sorry if it's triggering to hear the facts. But that's not where it stopped with Elon's crusade today. So then he tweeted, unless DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, which is a dumb fucking name, unless DOGE ends the careers of deceitful, pork barrel politicians, the waste and corruption will never stop. Therefore, there is no choice but to do so. I wish there was another way, but there is not. Let me repeat. Elon Musk is a corporate welfare whore. And this might get me in trouble on Twitter because he runs Twitter. He is a corporate welfare whore. His Tesla, his SpaceX got its start and a lot of its funding from the very government. He got the very pork barrel favors and waste and corruption from the very government that he's sitting on his high horse now talking about the waste. He is a creature of the swamp. And he's sitting here, with his little Twitter fingers all day, trying to dictate what bills get passed or not. Talk about crumbs for you, cake. Crumbs for thee, cake for me. And meanwhile, Donald Trump has fooled so many of you into thinking he's a friend of the worker bee. You think Elon Musk, one of the biggest union busters, corporate overlords, is a friend of the worker bee? I've interviewed Tesla workers. I interviewed one Tesla worker, Mohammed, I forget his last name, who had seizures. And Tesla fired him, even though, despite having seizures, was the top performing salesman at Tesla in Maryland, I believe it was. Elon Musk is a fierce, notorious union buster. Tesla has some of the most unsafe working conditions in America. And Donald Trump is basically making him the unofficial vice president. Sorry, JD Vance. I mean, it is so corrupt, and he's not even hiding it. Then he tweeted, because it seems like Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, is starting to back down on passing this bill after Vice President Musk, had a Twitter diarrhea all day. Then Musk tweeted, "Your elected representatives have heard you, and now the terrible bill is dead. The voice of the people has triumphed. Vox populi, vox dei." No. It's not that your elected representatives have heard you. It's that your elected representatives are a bunch of fucking corrupt pussies. Excuse my French. I hope my mother's not watching. Or my father, because my father hates when I curse. My father hates when I curse on air. Jordan, I love your message, but your gutter language, you need to be put out into the gutter, my father says. But no. The elected representatives, they have not heard you. They have heard Elon. They are afraid of Elon Musk primarying them in 2 years. So they are backing down. This is the definition. This is the definition of oligarchy. You got congresspeople, senators and congresspeople legally doing insider trading and enriching themselves. Nancy Pelosi at the head of that. Then the same congresspeople and millionaires in Congress that are enriching themselves, what should be illegal with insider trading and the trading of stocks, are then giving themselves 40% raises. And then you have the world's richest man dictating policy for the incoming president. And you want to talk to me, MAGA, about drain the swamp? Drain your fucking minds. You've been lied to. You've been hoodwinked. And I'm hard on the Democratic Party, and I'm certainly hard on the limousine liberals that support Harris and Biden. But I'm not going to just preach. And I would make a lot more money if I just sold out and became like a MAGA head and just sucked Trump off like half the internet. But I have to sleep at night. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you what I really think, even if you unsubscribe. And so many of these MAGA people, not all of them, a lot of them are snowflakes. And if you dare criticize, King Trump, unsubscribe. If that's you, toodles. Bye-bye. But Colin, am I missing something? Is this draining the swamp? When Elon Musk gave Donald Trump, I don't even know how much he gave him, but Elon Musk is doing like a Twitter diarrhea all day to stop a bill. At the same time, Elon Musk is clearly going to enrich himself from Donald Trump as president. There's been reports that the first order of business for DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy want to run, is going after Elon Musk competitors in the auto industry. Does this not seem like draining the swamp if Elon Musk is basically getting to call the shots by screaming on Twitter?
Yeah, and as if Elon already didn't have enough power and influence over everything, now he has the direct line not only to there, but to the Doge sector of Congress, but also, as we just saw, he could literally just do a Twitter tirade when he's bored for an hour and then be like, "Good job, guys! You, the American people, did it." And uh, that seems quite the opposite. We're becoming like a smaller, just because you guys see it on Twitter, I guess, that the billionaires influence people instead of them going to Vegas and secretly talking about it, that it's somehow less corrupt. I don't know, but
I mean, this is actually what happens in like full blown, dictatorships and autocracies. And I've been very careful. I haven't said Trump's Hitler. I've said he wants to be, he has fascistic tendencies for sure, but I haven't compared him to like Hitler or any of that. But full blown autocracies, this is what happens, where you have, wannabe dictators or autocrats that come in and the people around them loot the place. They steal from the cookie jar and they make a shit ton of money by taking from the cookie jar of their government. That is basically what's going to happen here. And I got news for you folks. I don't care if you're a lefty. I don't care if you're on the right. I don't care if you voted for Trump or you didn't. It's time to take off the blue hat. It's time to take off the red hat and look what's staring in front of you. They're selling you out, Trump specifically, right to your face. The Democrats, at least, are more subtle about their corruption. They don't have their fundraisers out in the open with Wall Street and Big Pharma. Trump is basically he ain't hiding it. He's handing over the keys to Musk and the rest of them. And I've already done reporting on some of the other appointments he made, which are also corrupt fucks. But if Elon Musk, basically through Twitter policy, or Twitter tirades, gets to bless or kill bills, we're in trouble. I want to play this clip. I'm not a huge fan, but she's right here. Elizabeth Warren pointed out that Elon Musk is basically just, as the unofficial vice president, just clearly trying to enrich himself. Let's play that.
Here is this man, richest man in the world, who has multiple companies. So he's got Tesla, the electric car maker. He's got X. He's got Neuralink. He's got SpaceX and a handful of other companies. Those companies are directly involved with the United States government. Millions and millions of dollars worth of government contracts, millions of touch points where there are rules that will affect those companies, like a $7,500 rebate for electric cars, investigations that are currently ongoing into the practices of each of those companies and, in some cases, into Mr. Musk himself. And here he is whispering into the ear of Donald Trump. So what is he whispering? Is he whispering, here are ways to help the American people? Or is he thinking through ways to make those companies richer, to back off the regulators, or to end any investigations into his work? This is conflicts of interest at a level that we have never before seen in this country. And it is critically important, first of all, that we call it out, and second, that we start to push back and say no. The American public has a right to know who's giving this kind of advice to Donald.
So a couple things, and I don't want anyone to get it twisted here. Number one, the Democrats are corrupt too. So I don't want you to think I'm only focusing on the Republicans. They're all corrupt. Elizabeth Warren, she is not as corrupt as Elon Musk. Hold on. Excuse me. She's not as corrupt as Elon Musk. But here was Elizabeth Warren in 2020 running for president. Super PAC's bad. Super PAC's bad. Super PAC's bad. Last minute, as her campaign is unfolding, I'll take $14 million from a Democratic Party donor from a super PAC. So I don't really take a lot of what she says at face value, but a broken clock is right twice a day. And what she's saying is absolutely dead on. The only part I would disagree with her on, Elon Musk is not whispering into Donald Trump's ear. Elon Musk might as well be sitting literally at the White House Oval Office desk next to Trump. Even though Trump is not in the Oval Office, you get the point. Elon Musk has literally been with Donald Trump down at Mar-a-Lago sitting in meetings with corporate CEOs. Elon Musk reportedly has been on calls Trump has had with foreign leaders. So Elon Musk is not whispering into Donald Trump's ears. It's the opposite. Donald Trump might as well be wearing an earpiece, and Elon Musk is dictating to Donald Trump what to say. It's absolutely fucking grotesque. We don't have a democracy. We have an oligarchy. And by the way, just so you know, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Musk's rivals, this is from the Wall Street Journal, Musk's rivals fear he will target them with his new power. Musk's scorched earth tactics have sent waves of concern through his lengthy list of business rivals, who over the years have included Microsoft co-founder and philanthropist Bill Gates and Amazon.com founder Jeff Bezos. They have watched him ascend to an unprecedented level of power for a private citizen while continuing to nurse his private business grievances. The richest man in the world is poised to have significant influence, not only over how his 6 companies, including X, Tesla, SpaceX, interact with the federal government. SpaceX has accumulated more than $15 billion in federal contracts over the last decade, but also over how the new administration treats his rivals. Musk's influence with Trump extends far beyond DOGE, the newly created advisory board that he will co-lead with Vivek Ramaswamy. He has rarely left Trump's side since the election, sleeping at Mar-a-Lago, Trump's private club, and informal MAGA headquarters. He has joined Trump's calls with everyone from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai, and publicly pushed for Trump cabinet picks for agencies. I mean, hey, at least in Obama's case, Wall Street CEOs emailed him their picks for who he should fill his cabinet with. And then he filled his cabinet with the very Wall Street executives who told him who to appoint. At least that was done behind scenes in emails. This is just out in the open. So, sorry, I don't want to hear a goddamn thing about draining the swamp. And to be clear, and save this video, Donald Trump is not joking about serving more than 2 terms. We already heard Steve Bannon the other day, another Donald Trump sycophant, say, maybe we'll look at, changing the Constitution or an amendment. Trump 2028? He asked the crowd, half laughing. I don't think they're kidding, folks. I don't think they're kidding. And all of these stories we talked about today are connected, because this is what the American people are fucking sick of, to the point of even taking violent action. Whether you condone that or not, which I don't. It's all the same thing. The corrupt, for-profit, predatory healthcare system has purchased our politicians. And the politicians then let the corrupt, for-profit, predatory healthcare system rape and pillage the American people. Sick people, people who need care, it doesn't matter. The politicians are letting them do that to you. Just like Elon Musk has purchased government, and government has given Elon Musk God knows how much free money. People are sick of this shit. And then they're sick of every 2 to 4 years being told, but hold your nose, you got to vote for the Democrats because they're worse. The Republicans are worse. That's over with. People aren't going to do it anymore. Meanwhile, Biden as president has continued a lot of Trump's right-wing policies, including trying to privatize Medicare through the back door. And now Trump's going to come in. He's being open. He's talking about, the other day, he said, let's try to privatize the Postal Service. Horrible, horrible idea. Trump has said, I'm not going to touch Social Security and Medicare. Well, he might say it. I don't believe it. And Trump is already planning his next tax cut for Elon Musk. Yes, you might get the crumbs of that tax cut, but the tax cut, the biggest parts and the biggest cuts will be going to Elon Musk and people in that class. So buckle up, folks. Buckle up. If you thought we already lived in an oligarchy, it's about to get a lot worse. Let me read Super Chats and keep signing up as a member. Really appreciate it. Angela, became a Status Coup YouTube member. Appreciate it. Ava Moon, $4.32. The spending bill has a drone clause, a no-no. Gerardo Peralta, $5 super chat. Corporations started the violence, i.e. missing, unaliving whistleblowers and price gouging during a pandemic. Absolutely. Emily, $2. Don't just get your popcorn, people. Get organized. Completely agree. I've been talking for years. I haven't been telling you not to vote, but I've been saying we need to think bigger than electoral politics. We need to organize economically. It's not enough to just protest in the streets. We need to protest with our wallet. We need to organize economic protests against corporate banking, Amazon, Walmart, big box retailers. With those economic boycotts, have money that we put in, not donating to politicians, but donating for mutual aid. So if workers are harmed by an economic boycott and economic strike, we put money in to help those workers. Absolutely. Juan Amaya became a Status Coup YouTube member. And I remind you, folks that are signing up on YouTube, I love you. If you prefer to be a member on YouTube, stick with it. But if you're willing to take one more step, or technically two more steps, I ask you, if you signed up on YouTube, cancel on YouTube and sign up on our website, statuscoup.com/join. You could sign up on our website for the same cost that you signed up on YouTube, statuscoup.com/join, $5 a month. The reason we want you to sign up on our website, besides not wanting to help YouTube, if you sign up on YouTube, we don't get access to your email. And we want your email, not to spam you, not to email you every day begging for money, but we want to email you telling you when we're live on the ground, like we'll be live possibly tomorrow, but definitely this weekend, when we're reporting live on the ground. And when we break news, we want to email you. So if you sign up on YouTube, if you prefer to be a YouTube member, that's fine. But if you don't mind canceling on YouTube and signing up on our website, it's statuscoup.com/join. You get the same benefits of membership, by the way. So as a Status Coup member, we do a monthly call with our members through a program like Zoom. So we're going to be doing one before the end of this year. We usually go for an hour or two. Take your questions, comments, concerns, all that good stuff. Usually tell you a little bit more behind the scenes if you're a paid member. And we give you behind the scenes videos when we're on the ground for paying members. So if you can, cancel that YouTube membership, sign up on our website. Sam became a YouTube member. Thank you, Sam. Same thing. If you can, cancel. Sign up on our website. David, Super Chat, $19.99. Keep it up. Thank you, Sam. Excuse me, that was David. Sam, $5. Do not let them police our thoughts and feelings. Amen. Lynette, $7.99. Hippo character runs at high speed, his legs forming a ball-like blur. Kimmy gifted 1 YouTube membership. Thank you, Kimmy. Amy became a Status Coup YouTube member. Thank you. Dorte, hope I'm pronouncing that right, became a YouTube member. Thank you. CBP, $10. What I found wild is they will allow any justification for killing black people. Trump can try to steal a country. A CEO can legally kill hundreds a year, but Luigi is a terrorist. Totally agree. One correction. That CEO killed way more than hundreds. These healthcare companies are killing tens of thousands of people a year. Blue Betch became a YouTube member. Thank you. Spider-Man, $2 super chat. Biden pardoned the kids for cash judge. Oh, yeah, we're going to get to that probably later in the week. And I'm reaching out right now for interviews because over 30 Congress people signed a letter to Biden demanding that he issue clemency for Leonard Peltier, the indigenous activist who has been wrongfully imprisoned for 50 years for a crime that there is zero evidence that he committed. For those of you in the audience that are indigenous or care about indigenous issues, free Leonard Peltier. So I put in a request today for 2 Congress people, 1 senator and 1 Congress people that is calling for the pardoning, the clemency of Leonard Peltier. He is 80 years old and he is sick. He deserves to be released and with his family in the limited time left on this earth. Danielle became a Status Coup YouTube member. Thank you so much. Old Major became a YouTube member. Thank you. Sam, $2. Fucking A, Jordan, you're inside my head. That's where I like to be, right inside that head. We need to challenge thought here in America because too many people have succumbed to rank propaganda from the corporate media and even independent media. So I'm happy to be in your head.
Also, real quick, this was a super chat someone sent from yesterday that I think we forgot to read.
Status Coup, 2 Fs. Thanks. It's this. If corporations are people, then the health industry collectively is a serial killer. Charge it criminally as we would only other repeat murderer. I like that. I like that. Absolutely. And by the way, welcome new Status Coup member just signed up. Eddie just signed up. And I have one request. If you're signing up on our website, I know we're all busy. I know you got 25 tabs open. But if you sign up on our website, remember to finish the final step of putting your payment in, because we have quite a few who started the sign-up process but didn't finish it. Obviously, if you're going to sign up, we want your support. So just make sure you finished, put in your card information or however you're paying, so we get your membership. Thank you for watching. We'll have more tomorrow. And if you're new here, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're about to pass. Actually, did we just pass? I think we just passed 303,000 subscribers. So thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to the OG subscribers. Let's keep this momentum going. See you tomorrow.